everybody, it's Real Shade here again, and we're back with another lovely episode. This is episode 7. We're going to be watching Misery. I want to welcome you. My name is Jamie. It's Darren over there. Lovely resident artist Derry. She'll be working away in the middle of the screen as we talk about our fantastic choice today, Derry's choice today, and it's Misery. What a fantastic film. We'll be discussing that. On my left, you'll see the movie itself. We'll be going through the scenes and things like that. Feel free to comment. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're going to have this episode up all out during the week. We'll have split up episodes of each hour of the episode. So feel free to subscribe on YouTube and get commenting. We're on Twitch today. So we're going to be broadcasting live every week, pretty much. We're working on the schedule as is. You know, it's only episode 7. Give us a little bit of a break. So yeah, today's choice is Misery by Stephen King. Has anybody read the book?
No.
I have.
You have?
Do you know what's weird?
Okay.
I've only read 2 books in my life, like that I remember. In It is one of them, and Misery is the other. I started
Stephen King,
but I never. Yeah. Well, Misery book is closer to this film, or this film is closer to the book, rather than it. The miniseries was not as close to the book of it, and now the new movies are closer to the book.
I think Stephen King only let the rights out to Misery if Rob Reiner was going to do it because of the way he did Stand By Me.
Yeah. It's very
yeah.
Well, this is a movie that's not that very convoluted, and I feel like it is very convoluted in what it tries to do. Whereas Misery is fairly well established. Like, again, we talk about movies that would work perfectly on stage, and hey, I think this maybe there has been a stage production. I don't know, but
it's the Broadway of it. Bruce Willis and. Bruce Willis and what's her name? Laurie Metcalf was in it. I've seen it on stage.
Is it good?
It's fucking class. It's amazing. Like this was made for a play. This was because you could do it all in one room. But on Broadway, have you seen it, Jerry? On Broadway, have you seen the set?
I haven't. No, I knew it existed, but I haven't seen it.
Well, Bruce Willis was on Broadway doing this. It's fucking class. Like the set on is one big rotating stage. So it's like a globe for all the world, but in one part of the globe is like the bedroom. And when he goes, as he's wheeling out the bedroom, the stage turns around, so he goes into the living room and he passes straight to the living. It's fucking class. I think about this as well, because everyone keeps on about, oh, it's made iconic by Kathy Bates. Like the iconic part of this movie is obviously with what happens with a sledgehammer and thing. But no matter what version you watch, because I've seen on stage, and I still get that like shiver up my spine when I see that bit happening. Like whether it's live happening in front of me, whether I saw the trailer on Broadway, you just get the same feeling. So I think Kathy Bates on her version, but they say like Bruce Willis was saying they didn't want to even talk about that version because they wanted this one on the one they did to be their own version and their own thing, which it fucking was. It was so good. And the one I saw was amazing as well because it's all done in one room. It's made for stage.
Well, there you go. And as we go through the film, we'll probably see the fact that most of the play pretty much takes place in one room. There's a few outside scenes, but for the most part, you could absolutely do this on stage. We'll read a little bit of the summary of the film from our good old friend IMDb. Yeah, and they'll give us a general overview of nothing about the film. So let's start with that. So straight from IMDb, we have after a famous author is rescued from a car crash by a fan of his novels, he comes to realize that the care he is receiving is only the beginning of a nightmare of captivity and abuse. Yeah.
Essentially is what it is.
I think that's like it doesn't really for me. It doesn't like when we were. I think what was the movie that we had seen last week?
A Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life, right? Maybe it was the movie before that. Like the description was like 2 paragraphs. It went on and on and on. Maybe it was for the craft or something like that. But that's a fine description. I'll give it that.
No,
Rob Reiner.
It doesn't sell it for me.
It doesn't sell it.
Yeah, I don't think it
If I
needs a
saw
whole
that
lot.
on a Netflix description, I wouldn't be sold to watch the movie.
Yeah, after a famous author is rescued from her car
Fucked up
crash
there.
by a fan, yeah, he comes to realize that his care, like, it doesn't really open it up to anything. It's like, ooh, what could happen?
Yeah.
Rob Reiner is the director. Stephen King wrote the novel, and William Goldman was the screenplay writer. James Caan, is it Caan? It must be Caan.
James Caan, yeah.
Yeah, he's 2 A's. Fantastic as Paul Sheldon. Obviously, it's because it's like Stephen King writing about being a writer that is captured by a fan of his novels. I think he kind of put himself in that. I've never really seen Stephen King that much, but I think Paul or James Caan actually does a really good job of that coy writer type.
Yeah. Well, this is all based off what Stephen King was getting some serious weird letters been sent to him. And he always, like, obviously from there, it was a genius idea. Like, you'd some messed up people out there. You don't know what, if some, like, just per chance, if one of your fans ever, because we have so many fans, Jamie, you know. If,
Never know.
like, a fan ever had that control of you, you know, man, geez, you don't know. It's a fucking frightening thought. Like, not a fan.
Well, I think like the movie goes a lot deeper than that, even just from fan worship to something completely different. And we'll get into it. Like Kathy Bates, so good in this. Oh my god! Talk about showing like what I guess like schizophrenia, like a bipolar, like her facial expressions. We all talk about facial expressions. It's a Wonderful Life. It's like the actor making the scene, making all of the cinematography just because their face is in it. So we'll dive right into it. Oh, actually, I do want to mention Richard Farnsworth as Buster, the sheriff. Oh my god, the poor man. I think that was the saddest part of the movie for me.
But in the book, it's so much more than
I feel like if it's in a book, you're reading it like, no, I want to stop reading this.
I can't understand. In the book, he doesn't only get shot; something else happens to him after he gets shot because he doesn't have to die. And I was like, they showed everything else in the movie, and they wouldn't show what actually happens to him. I was like, Jesus Christ!
I'm kind of glad because that man, like, it's like that really grandfatherly old man, and you just wanted to give you a hug. Yeah, like it's like he should actually be working somewhere proper instead of working for a 2-bit town.
So who saw the movie before? Has everybody seen the movie before?
I've seen the movie before as well. Yeah. This is one I really enjoy.
Yeah, my mother and dad are fucked up. I don't know about your mom and dad. Like my mother used to sit me in front of these movies when I was younger, and like when I'm talking like 6 to 7, seeing this, like no wonder I'm not normal.
Well, blame your parents.
This is one of my favorite movies as well, and I think I probably would have watched it definitely in my early teens anyway.
Yeah, but like, and forever, like I would never have my feet sticking out of bed. Like most people think, oh, Paranormal Activity, I won't ever have my feet hanging out of covers. This is what did it for me.
Well, it's a pretty sorry state when you're getting to that and you're just like, just in case someone comes along and hobbles your fucking ankles. You never know. Oh my god, what a horrible scene. So we'll get stuck into it. No credit roll. I'm just saying, no credit roll. Well, actually, there is a credit roll, but it takes a second. As like a lot of these 90s movies just want to, do the flashy thing. It's like it did what The Craft did. It was like, oh, here's a bit of the movie. Okay, credit roll. So
but
like
I haven't read the books, like I said, but it was like the prologue. So you got like a snippet, and then it went back to start the story before the crash.
I like it. Yeah. I like the way that you know what? Maybe I'm just going on about credit rolls all the time, but the way credit rolls have evolved, if you think, like, they inch more and more into like further and further away from the start of the film into the end. But it was good. I like the way that it came along. You see the champagne glass, the champagne. You see the cigarette,
Setup.
and the typewriter. It's a cool setup.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, nice little camera work. It's very, very, simple stuff, but it conveys that. I think, like, just with the single cigarette and everything, that like something is special is happening. There's something set aside. There's typewriting happening, and that obviously comes into it then later on. We get him then driving. He gets in his car, drives away. He's obviously accomplished.
Did he throw something against a tree? I watched the toys, but each time I can't remember. Was it just a snowball or something that he threw against a fucking tree?
Yeah, it was a snowball. He was just like, still got it. Still got it.
I thought he threw something like a bottle or sorry. Okay, go on, moving on. Sorry.
Yeah, he just compacted. Like, I wish it was like some person just looking away in the distance and just like at the back of his head. It's like, still got it. Drives away. So he drives away off into the distance. It's a snowy. Where did they say there were? Ohio or something like that. Nebraska.
I can't remember.
America. They're in the Americans.
Aren't all of Stephen King's novels set in Maine?
Oh, actually, yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, Maine, isn't it? So he's driving through the snow on an open. I was about to start singing that song. I don't know. Is that copyrighted? Can we sing that song? So lovely scene. This is where our credit roll is happening. We see him putting on the wipers. It starts off like a very TV start to a movie, doesn't it? Like the intro to an episode or one of those real crime dramas, Blizzard's coming around, getting difficult to see things, and then crash! Tumble, tumble, tumble down a hill. Ba-bum. I'm making all the sound effects. It goes down a hill.
Is this how we avoid the copyright of actually showing the movie?
Right, exactly. Ba-boom! So the car flips over and he's trapped inside. So not a big introduction to the character. He's kind of somewhat important, I imagine. He's done something worth noting. At this time, I will now remember to change to the Act 1 scene. Act 1. And let me move this down also. So, Act 1. We've already somewhat established the character. We haven't really got a lot into talking. I like films where there's not talking at the start for a considerable amount of time. I don't know how you guys are about that, but I like that. It eases you into the film. I don't like...
It just, like, there's a lot of talking instead. You're trying to listen to what they're saying and trying to instead just watching what's going on.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
I'm not good at multitasking, Jamie.
Well, here's even a thing. Like, Saving Private Ryan was a really great film, and even that had a silent part at the start. You know what I'm talking about? It gives
Castaway.
Did it?
Castaway.
Full extreme.
Yep.
We're just going Tom Hanks right now.
But what can happen is that I think a lot of action-y films nowadays want to get you into the action straight away without having to explain a whole lot, and it's just like a little bit head-wrecking sometimes.
Yeah.
These films give you a little bit of an intro, give you a nice little bit of a description of the character, effectively, a description of the world. We've seen it in The Craft, we've seen it in Beetlejuice, The Crow. We're about 5 minutes in, and we've kind of had the premise of the film. What I like about this film is that it subverts expectation a lot. For me, the car crash when Kathy Bates basically comes out, when Kathy Bates rescues him. I think it was trying to convey to the audience that it was like, oh, it's clearly a man trying to rescue him.
Yeah.
Did you guys get that? Like where it was like with the crowbar and they'll lift him up in the back and everything.
Yeah. Definitely. And the whole point was that Kathy Bates was cast because of her stature.
Yeah.
Because there was other people. I think Julia Roberts was up for the part.
Yeah.
No, she's supposed to be like a powerhouse, not a pixie.
And And that I like the way that that's not a big thing until the end of the movie, because in most movies, if you think, you're like, okay, a man as big as James Caan could probably kick the shit out of a woman that size, like in a fair fight, if both of them were in perfect condition. But throughout the whole entire film, he's so fucked up, and by the end of it, he's still really fucked up. That I would believe that someone as kind of she's like a farmer as well, isn't she? She's kind of living on a farm.
Like, it's less about her size and more about like the way she carries herself. Like I think what we would call is like sturdy.
Sturdy. She's a heifer. She's some heifer.
I didn't say that.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing? A heifer.
You just called her a cow, like.
Hey now, that's a little bit crass for my liking.
Yes.
So,
but
yeah, we get a little bit of CPR.
Was it supposed to be horror? Because I always had this theory. I know she says like that she knew he was staying there and all blah 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 later on, but like, did he just crash or did she? I know there's no evidence to show that she did that.
Yeah.
But like, in my mind, I'm like, I think she obviously did something to make her crash, but then again, they never showed anything. So that's.
I like those open questions. Yeah. I like that because I had forgotten when. Because I'd seen it before, I'd forgotten that she had said, "Oh yeah, I was like stalking you basically." And at the start, he was totally fine with it. But yeah, like had she done something here, had she put like a row of slippy bananas out, and then he just the banana routine, flip the car, and then boom, boom.
But clearly, she must have been following because if she was she couldn't just shown up at the fucking car wreck. Like, I think it's a bit too coincidental, but they don't say it, and obviously, except for she just knew it was no surprise that he was staying at the Silver Creek Lodge. Like, so I think.
But that's the thing. I think that actually makes it a little bit creepier, because at the start of the film, you don't really know that she's a stalker, and if you had seen someone stalking him, like let's say it was like him writing the typewriter and everything, and then you get a flash outside the cabin. And then you hear like heavy breathing from the bushes or something. You're like, oh, he's being stalked.
Yeah, it's a whole different movie then. Whereas I think it really leads you slowly into the realization that something's not right.
Yeah.
Like, with the character.
Like, he wakes up and she's like this grandmother type.
Yeah.
You know?
But you get that later on when she says to him then, oh, I used to peer up at your cabin and, like all this, so it does give you that, but it gives you in the right way where there's actually a build up to where you realize. I think without you even knowing that she's a fucking, well, she is bipolar. So before you even get that, it just when you think she's kind of crazy a little bit, she just fucking snaps.
Well, this is the next scene. This is the next scene, effectively, and the setup for the fact that he's been kind of trapped by this mental woman, because you as the audience have been kind of taken in as well from that blizzard. And when I don't know, again, I think as an audience, you're a little bit more hesitant because you're like, okay, it's a movie, obviously something has to happen. So when she starts saying the stalking thing, I was like, oh, I'd be out of there. I'd be like, thanks very much. Please get me out of here. Please leave me alone right now. Goodbye. But you don't get that straight away. You get a nice little flashback. So, like you said, it is kind of the start to where we currently are, and then a flashback to him being in his agent's office. And it's the kind of setup for the film, the reason for the film in the first place. And it's kind of a nice woven. The way that they've done it is actually woven in.
And they have Lauren Bacall here as well. She's fucking fantastic.
Oh, the older lady, the agent.
She's a really famous actress. She's amazing.
I like the way that the character is trying to escape his current misery.
Yeah. I love that he inadvertently, the thing that made her want to kill him is that he wrote one book and it consumed his life, nearly killed him.
Well, that's it. And it's like, that's a film that complements its own story by having stories within it that ebb and flow from the main story. Effectively, you have these little side stories. Like he accidentally created a hit romance novel. Like it looks like one of those cheesy romance novels with the painted cover and everything. It's just like, oh my god. But he obviously explains that he wanted to be a real writer. You know, he had this leather case. I think he did. It said like, yeah, it carries it around with him. I think that she describes. I think Kathy Bates later on describes the fact that he's superstitious. You know, he's clearly not in it just for the money. But it just seems like those kind of novels are for people that are just kind of in it for the money, that kind of way. You know, they're just cheap romance novels.
He wrote like books, and she's like could fucking talk about them word for word. But it's like what you just said later when she says about, I'm just even thinking about now. Every time she says something, it gets to a whole new level of fucking psychotic. Sorry, let's just move on because I'm getting excited even thinking about the rest of the movie.
Well, with the agent, you kind of get a little bit of an explanation as to the character, his true motivations for wanting to do what he does, and you get a little bit of an empathy with the character, I suppose, like being stuck in a position that, hey, you would not necessarily, it's not like you wouldn't envy it, but imagine being stuck there that you can't actually change because maybe you're afraid to, or maybe your audience won't actually like what you have to say. Like a J.K. Rowling, when she started writing all of those murder mysteries, she changed the name of it because she just didn't want that legacy to come along with her.
I think you're either a good writer or you're not a good writer, but you're one also. Lauren Bacall also says to him, really, it's funny, she's like, the one thing you wrote gave you your house, gave you a house in this place, this place, and this place. So, you know, maybe you shouldn't shoot to 7 foot in so many words.
Yeah. And even at that, I think it's not necessarily the money that he wants. It's just the fulfillment of being a writer. And again, I think that kind of feeds into the fact that he's being held against his will for something, like you said, Darren, that he didn't even give a shit in the first place about. He's like,
but that's what I'm saying. He's like, the thing he hates the most, what he wanted, because he like technically he killed, like in the last book he killed Misery, was it? He did, yeah.
No, nobody killed Misery. It just happened.
Oh no, so
it just happened. She just had a miscarriage, man. Yeah. It wasn't me, man.
Never. But like, doesn't say he apparently had killed Misery, and like you wouldn't obviously know that. So when like that's it, like everything in this movie drives it so forward. Oh my god, it just it's like no, go on. I'm getting too excited. Sorry.
I was about to say, like, there's a lot of tension in it, even from bits where it was built, like the pre-tension was built earlier on in the film, and it kind of comes rising to the forefront a lot of the time. So these are all little bits of setup. And Act 1, you know, it contains a lot of really good stuff that normally in your Act 1 you're just kind of setting up the rest of what you want to happen in the film, your characters. But the Act 1 in this is basically setting up a lot of really good stuff about anticipation or like anxiety building. It's a very anxiety building film. Like when he's trying to escape around he's in a wheelchair, he has to get back in the that's like really, you're like, get in the chair, man. So I feel like all of these
again it's the music, man. Like they always say, if you watch a horror film without music, it won't be half as scary. Like, because I would never thought for years and years I would never thought music would have had that much of an impact in films. And fuck, it does. It has an impact on everything. Like if you're on stage and theatre or whatever. Well,
the music comes into it here as well.
But that's insane. But this movie, even like the start of it, like not start of it, the first act where when he wakes up in the bed and the song that's playing is just fucking eerie, and you hear that I'm your number one fan. That's it. I'm your number one fan. You're fucking
I'm your number one fan. But yeah, so after the little flashback, he's basically still in the car. I think it's like for the purposes of prelogue, but I think it's because that's the last thing he remembers, let's say, or whatever, when in that car crash. So she gives him a bit of CPR, gets him out with a crowbar, gives him a bit of CPR, and holds him off So at this time, I think, okay, cool. You have the nice little setup for the character themselves. He's hauled off back to your one's cabin, and you think it's a man, basically. I like you said, Darren, it's like that. We get to that part now where he's like, I'm your number one fan. I'm your number one fan. The music I actually noted down here is eerie but comforting. You're like, oh, it's nice, I guess. Like, okay, a little freaked out
nice
here.
for like a second, and after the 4 seconds, you're like, oh god.
Good. What the fuck? So she starts basically giving him pills, and I think maybe after like it's in the kind of human consciousness now. This film, I think it's one of those things that just is a part of humanity. If you went to someone's house after a car crash and they were like, "I'm your number one fan," and then started handing you pills, you're like, "No, I know there's something wrong about this." But here he's fine.
This fucking movie, Jesus Christ.
But even at that, I think people are a little bit more cautious nowadays. Maybe
danger now, yeah.
Yeah. Just this random woman just handing you a bunch of red pills. We're gonna red pill you, man.
Oh, they're painkillers. Yeah, sure they are.
So she explains, okay, I was the one to rescue you. I'm so glad I did because you would have died out there. By the way, you have 2 horribly broken legs. Very badly broken legs.
Are in shambles. And I'm thinking,
did she do that? Because how did he break both of his legs and all his upper body was fine?
Like, I'm thinking, did she do something else to him when he was...
Did she get the crowbar and just smash his legs up?
It's not.
But that's what I like when you have films that have legs of their own, basically. Well, I just realized what I said, but you know what I mean. When they have that kind of, they get the audience to start telling their own stories. You're like, sorry if you can't hear me, I'm letting my cat in. But when the characters, you could basically infer, oh my God, she could have absolutely bet the shit out of his legs beforehand. So...
But see, at that point in the movie, I think you're still a little bit. I don't think you're still kind of thinking that it's okay. Like you're thinking maybe someone else is going to come along, or maybe she has a husband who's going to,
Exactly.
You don't. She's still granny. She's still the caring nurse with the cross on around her neck. She's put across as that way. So I think you're still sort of. That's
it. That's what I feel like. Again, people watching this from the first time is like, okay, and the husband's going to come out and go, boy, howdy, you were in a storm there, or whatever. But it's like, no, it's just her on her own. And that's a little bit ominous. It's a little bit off. It's not completely wrong or anything, but it's like, oh, okay, well, that's a little bit unusual. The scene gets to the point where you're like, okay, this Kathy Bates one, there's something a little bit creepy about her. Even the way she talks, she's a little bit innocent, like a little bit is touched in the head.
Yeah,
are you still allowed to say things like that? Is touched in the head okay?
See, her whole character, there's a stern nurse, right? As like we all know one of them fucking nurses that just take no shit.
Matron.
But a matron, yeah. But then when you see her change from a childlike wonder to when she's holding the page that he's written and stuff, and she's so excited, I'm like, it's such a drastic fucking change. I'm like, holy shit, this girl is fucking nuts, fucking psychotic. So,
maybe Darren is only going to be able to answer this one, but have you ever started going out with somebody? And I think this is like those stages of just starting to go out with somebody before you realize, oh my God, this person is fucking mental. And I don't know if guys are like that, because we're very obviously mental, except for psychopaths and the actual creepy guys, but you can spot those. If you know a guy's mental, like he's hopping over fences and running in front of cars, you're like, oh yeah, I like one of those adventurous bad boys. But when a guy starts going out with an innocent girl, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough, I know what to expect, and then she's like, has a knife, and oh, your two legs are broken, I'll take care of you. It's like, hey, I haven't talked to my mom in a week. It's like, what's happened? It's like, oh, nothing, it's fine. I called her for you. You're like, everybody thinks I'm dead, don't they? Like, I don't think.
What's the question?
What the question was, have you ever been in that situation where you've had another half, or maybe been going on regular dates or whatever, with somebody, and then eventually after like 3, because this is what it is, like the whole movie is kind of like a montage. There's days pass, and you're thinking, okay, he's kind of settling into the place, and then he realizes, oh my God, I need to leave now.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
No, I'd love to have some mad story now saying, "Oh yeah, I have." No, I
make up one, Darren.
Born like that. I can create a scenario for you, but no, it'd be fake.
You could have.
When Amy met me, she was like, "He's kind of normal," and then like about 10 minutes after meeting me, she was like, "Yeah, what have I done? What have I done?"
Well, we should get Amy on here. Maybe she'll give us the story about meeting you. Maybe you are Kathy Bates. So
Amy, blink twice if you need help.
Totally agree.
So yeah, we don't get that much of an off tone effectively from Kathy Bates, but you kind of notice something's a little bit off. The agent calls the sheriff, and the sheriff, just the way he talks, and he just sounds so sweet, and he's just so joyful. He did a little post-it note, and he sticks it up on the board, and
we'll add his name to our system. I love that.
It's just like, oh man, I like you.
He's like, I have a system, and he's just moving papers around. He's like, there it is.
And like, what was the deputy is his wife? It's like,
I love their relationship.
I love her. Probably my favorite character in the whole movie. She is amazing. She's hilarious.
And she's an actress that's been in a few things as well, hasn't she?
She's a really good actress.
She's like one of those, background actors. Oh, I wouldn't say background actresses are. What's her name? Frances Sternhagen. Oh my God, she was. That's where I remember for. Have you ever seen Outland with Sean Connery, where he's on the miling planet of Io, and is like a big thing. She's the doctor on that. Yeah, I recommend Outland with Sean Connery, but she's in that and she's very good. But I like her as an actress as well. She's like a staple in those 90s films.
Two of those together suited really well as husband and wife. They were fantastically cast.
Mm-hmm. The agent is like, I'm a bit worried. He didn't call when he was meant to get to New York. And the sheriff is like, I'm sure he's fine. Nothing ever happens around here. What I like about him is it's not like he's a complacent sheriff. It's like that town is genuinely boring as fuck, basically. That nothing happens there. He's a really, really good sheriff, because that, coming back to this film after having not watched it in probably a couple of years, I forgot a few bits in it, and I like that about films because I kind of get a new perspective. At this point in my life, I was just like, oh, he's just a lazy sheriff, and I was like, I don't really remember what he does in the film. I was like, oh, he's not really going to give a shit. But, oh no, he goes down to like reading all of his novels. That's how much he wants to solve this issue.
But like you said there, but it's probably a boring town. And when he finally figures out that, something could be wrong, because he goes into the fucking snow and he tries to find his car, and he's like, finds like a branch broken on a tree, and he tells his wife to stop and stuff. So he's like, I think if it was more stuff happening in that town, he wouldn't have really cared.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
A lot because you're expecting, especially when he's like, oh, well, I'm sure he's fine, or I'm sure he'll get there, and then you just post it on the wall. Immediately, you're thinking, oh, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
You've seen so many crime dramas and cops before. You're just like, yeah, he's just another one of those cop characters who doesn't care, and nothing's going to happen. So then it kind of subverts you when he does start going, I need to solve this. It's like, oh, okay, he's actually one of the good guys.
What I liked about it was like it was rather than a dismissive like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. It was more of like a granddad kind of like, don't worry, it will be fine. instead of, I'm sure it's nothing, it's like, I'm sure it's nothing because he'll arrive and he'll give you a call. Don't worry about that. And I think that's him throughout the whole entire film. Like, I feel like he's somewhat the protagonist in a little bit because,
like everyone says, and like Annie Wilkes and Paul Sheldon, are the two guys, are the main characters. I think he would be considered a main character in this thing because he has his own story through this whole movie himself. Like, he's trying to find out where your man is. Like, as much as the lads are having a laugh in the house there, he's
the only guy that does anything. Like, he's the only person that does anything, and the only reason that he's able to escape effectively because he came into the house. She would have killed him by that stage. Yeah. So, like, I feel like he is the hero of it, and you don't again, it's one of those kind of subverting your expectations, and there's a lot of that in this film as well, like with Kathy Bates and the sheriff. You think, okay, crappy sheriff, and nice woman, and then it turns out to be, oh my god, horrible woman, brilliant sheriff.
Columbo.
So we get to meet the lovely wife then, and
the dirty wife.
The dirty wife. She is a bit of a horn dog as well, isn't she? In fairness,
rubbing his leg when he's
having it off with his leg. In this car, you're my deputy. When you're at home, you're my wife. So the scene with Kathy shaving.
But you notice that it shows that scene comes up and straight away she has a blade to his neck. Like, I know it's her supposed to be just, but that's like brilliant storytelling to me. Like, she could have been doing that at all, but they have her like in the book. I don't think it ever says that. I can't remember, but I don't think it ever says that she shaves him. But her blade starts there.
Not only does it show like that she is his total caretaker, and that he has to sort of trust her in a way. It also shows the passage of time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a really good job of the passage of time in this. With the weather, with the clothes, with the way how often she actually changes her clothes as well. She's never really in the same thing at all for one scene. So I like that. They do a good job visually of and that's Rob Reiner, he's just a really good director as well. Yeah. Even though he's a bit of an idiot as a man. He did Spinal Tap. He was in Spinal Tap. So I like that. So it also shows Kathy Bates as kind of like full control over him. And like you said, Derry, but he's either completely trusting of her or completely unable to do anything, even if he wasn't trusting of her. Yeah. So he kind of he's forced to do so. She says that she's basically been following him. It's like, in a way, I've been following you. I've been stalking you. And he's kind of okay with that a little bit. He doesn't seem too freaked out.
Did she say she's stalking him? I think she said that.
She doesn't say, I've been stalking you. She says that, like, I've been hanging outside and I've been thinking, watching you come and go. And
the window.
It's like, what the fuck?
But did she not turn? She did turn around and say, sorry, that's popping my head now. Didn't she turn around and say, I saw you leaving the cabin that morning?
Yes!
Yeah, so, and she followed, and she saw him crash.
Does that not so? She was just following them. Was that the case? And she was just following a car, obviously.
As she says, yeah.
Yeah, like she could be completely lying out her arse.
Yeah, like, that's left up to you to fucking think then.
There's a little bit later on when I actually don't believe that she gives a shit about him at all. And we'll come to the bit where I think that, but like, this is what I like about, the story having its own world to itself. And that's what happens when you can kind of keep it consolidated, really, really good set of characters. Technically, only 4 characters really in the whole entire film.
There's only 19 people in this entire movie.
I would have said that's more than I thought.
That's a lot more than I thought.
I would have said there was like 9.
Have any watched Castle Rock?
No.
No, Am I thinking of The Man in High Castle? That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry.
No, because it's the Stephen King series that came out. He tells loads of. It's about this whole. I don't really know what it's about, but one of the.
Good.
No, I know
That's a bad start, but keep going.
But yeah. But it tells the whole backstory of Annie Wilkes. There's a girl who plays Lizzie Chaplin plays her, but it gives you like a little backstory right up to Misery.
Oh really?
Oh,
Yeah, it was really, really interesting. It was really good. It shows that she kind of like, but then again, obviously, it wouldn't work if you watched that first and then watched the movie because you'd know she's a fucking psychotic.
Is she based on a nurse from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Nurse
really?
Ratches.
No, I think Annie Wilkes is as well.
Oh fuck! Okay, well
as like not Ratchet, a different nurse.
All right.
I think so. Don't quote me on it.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, all I know is that it shows the kind of start for her, and she's like, but you don't find out obviously till the end of the show that she's psychotic. But they do it in a very, very clever way. If you ever look,
so it's like a prequel kind of like to this, or
well, there's loads of stories in it. It's just she's one of them.
Okay.
Go on, anyway. Sorry, continue, Jamie. Sorry, go.
Yeah, well, no, like you said, I think having a prequel about this character, even after knowing what she's like, still I wouldn't enjoy it. I don't think, because I like the open-endedness of it. Like I like the way that, in a way, this is a bit of like a horror film. You know, she actually, like, the fight at the end reminds me of a fight with like Jason or Michael Myers or whatever in a condensed form. So it's not unreasonable to have to kind of think that, but we kind of get the stirrings of her being a bit of a mad one at this part, I think, at the very least. So he lets, I think she starts probing about the book, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm just writing a new book. Can I read your new book?
Can I? He doesn't even come out and say, can I read it? She kind of like exactly probes and leaves him say to her, if you wouldn't mind. He says, well, I'll make it except for people who saved my life.
Basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's delighted, and again, she's a little bit innocent and stuff, and it's not, you don't really think too much of it at this point. I think she doesn't actually tell him that she's been divorced until much later, effectively. So doesn't really just tell him anything about it. There are a few things that I really would have liked to see more of. I know that she gets into it a little bit later about like the love interest and things like that, but she didn't mention the book at all, really, about what happens in the book and the whole premise of the book or anything. It's not. I don't think it was really needed, but I would have liked to see it. She just said, "Oh, it's a wonderful book, and it's magical, and it does this and this and this." I'm like, okay, tell me about the fuck book then. What do you love about it? You wouldn't go to J.K. Rowling and go, "It's a magical book, and I love it, and the characters are fantastic." You'd be like, "Oh, I love this character, and this and this and this." You'd be a little bit more pointed to begin with. It's just a bit vague. So this is where,
in terms of the whole script, though, he doesn't tend to probe her for further information at any point. He doesn't ask follow-up questions ever.
He doesn't really care about his own books, though. It's not like he's like, oh, what? Oh, wow. Oh, I remember writing that part. He's just like, oh, thanks. Yeah, like I get fans like you all the time. Like, please leave me alone. But this is where I get the part where I don't think she really gives a shit about the book. And maybe that's, I think later on that idea develops. But you get to the next scene, and then we have the sheriff talking to the hotel owner. And that's kind of fine. They basically just explain, I don't know where he is. I'm sure he'll be fine, says the hotel owner. Everybody in this town is completely like chillaxed about everything. He's fine. He's fine. Was that the day with the whole blizzard? Oh yeah, but I'm sure he's fine. Nothing ever happens. We're now on the part where, so we're how many minutes in?
This is only like 15 minutes in.
Yeah, so we're about
15, 20 minutes in, yeah.
15, 20 minutes in. But 15, 20 minutes in.
This movie moves at such a good pace.
It's quick,
really quick, yeah.
And again, I think it's because of the passage of time. you need the passage of time for the legs to heal properly and everything to be believable.
Yeah.
You know, that would take a long time.
Yeah, but this is the first part now where you see that something's fucking off with her.
Mm-hmm.
Really see it anyway. Yeah.
With the soup, she's feeding him that lovely soup.
I was thinking, I know it's a thick blanket, but when she drops it on, does it not burn him? Like, is it supposed to be fucking hot? Obviously, like, you know what I mean?
That's some hot soup.
Yeah. Well, in the book it says she burns him with the fucking soup, and.
Well, she's not liking the book, and that's why she burns him. What does he call her? Call him? It's like, doesn't she call it? Maybe it's later on. It's like, you're a dirty birdie. Maybe that's later on. I think that you're a dirty birdie. Oh my God! No, he's like very bad language. You know what it reminded me of? Remember when Mrs. Doyle was like that, writing that filth, bastard this and bastard that. That's what she was like. It was like, bastard. It's not real life. It doesn't make any sense. If I said, hey, give me that bastard in check. Hey, waitress, give me that bastard in check. I was just like, that's how Irish people speak all the time. Hey, fucker, get your shit over here.
Give me a fucking drink. Yeah, okay. It sounds perfectly reasonable to me.
Yeah, get your fucking drink over here. She has a bit of a meltdown, and I love the meltdown because, again, you just kind of realize that. Okay, yeah,
it's fucking out of nowhere, and it's so good.
Yeah, Paul Sheldon is not really liking that at all. He's a little bit.
Just like, what the fuck just happened?
I wish my legs weren't so broken right now. I want to leave badly. And then she apologizes. She's like, oh, God, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me at all. It must have been the soup. And then we're back to, like, that. The scenes are so quick. Like, they're basically ba-bam. And now we're into the cop searching with his wife out in the wilderness. And she wants to get a little bit jiggy with him.
Trying to feel him up.
Na 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 na.
Yeah.
Is that DMCA-able? Na 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 na.
Say nothing.
If it was in tune, maybe.
Getting Jamie with it. Am I allowed to change the lyrics? So, this is where I like the sheriff, and he kind of, like you said, he's like that kind of hunter mentality. He's like, there's a broken tree over here. Could have been a bear. Could have been the wind. Could have been anything. And he kind of goes down that little hill in the snow. But he's old. You don't really begrudge him, to be honest with you. The fact that he's like not able to make it down, and I think the camera pans down and sees the tire.
But I love the fact that when he falls, like, he just sinks in and he's like up to his neck. She's like, "Are you okay? Do you want a hand?"
No, I don't want a hand.
She comes in with the fucking pig, then, doesn't she, or something?
No, I don't think that happens just yet. I think that's. Oh no, wait, maybe it might be. No.
Okay.
No. What happens is just when they get in the car, I think it is actually now, to be honest with you. Let me.
She drives past them.
There's she drives past them in the car. She's like, okay, they're looking for him. Maybe it is the part with the pig. 2 seconds.
But I don't even think, because she doesn't even look over. She just looks dead ahead. So I don't even think she knows that they're fucking looking. I don't
know. She knows. Well, I get the feeling that she knows where she had picked him up, and she's just like, okay, people are searching for him. Because over the course of the film, we see the helicopter come in, and she's just like, okay, I like that. That part, she even gets a little bit anxious. She's starting to get a little bit antsy about people looking for Mr. Paul Sheldon.
Yeah.
The little doorknob starts going, chicka, 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 and she had brought back a book. Was it a new book, or is it a book she already had?
No, this is the last book. This is when he killed off Misery, the last book, and it was only released then.
It was the one that just went into the store because it was It had the same cover as the printout that the agent showed him at the beginning.
Yeah. And then the book he had in his satchel was the one he wrote that was gonna. He basically killed off Misery so he could write this new book.
No. The book that was in his satchel is the one where he kills Misery.
No, it's not.
It is, because she asks him to burn the book and rewrite it again.
Yeah.
Like that, she knows that that's the only copy. I know that's what makes it confusing why she gets this book if she's the biggest fan.
Oh.
And again, this is why I think she's absolutely lying through her the whole entire time. She's not his biggest fan at all.
But then the shopkeeper later on does say that every time the book comes in, she has to keep the first copy.
Now, I think that because she's mental.
Oh, well, yeah.
You know, that kind of a way. I think she's been planning about this for a long time. Exactly. There's some continuity there where I was like, why is she so excited about this book that she probably already has a copy of because it's already out? Or maybe it's the book. Maybe it's the book before the most recent book. So it's still a new book to her, but it's not the new book.
It's the newest released one.
There was no Amazon back here, so maybe like that store only got it like a year in advance or something.
The newest one that he wrote was because I thought the one that he had in his satchel, because it's wrote on it untitled by Paul Sheldon, and then the book she hasn't is called The Death of Misery on the book, the cover.
Is it not Misery's Child?
Misery's Child.
Oh fuck that! Sorry, I'm totally confused here. Sorry.
Well, we'll hash it out because I was actually, that confused me. That part where she was excited about the book, and I was like, let's see if I can actually get. So she comes in. There we go. Misery's Child.
Yeah. And that was the printout that the agent showed at the beginning. So that's like a brand new book.
Because she dies in a miscarriage.
So the book in the satchel is the one where he kills off Misery, then, is it?
Yeah, exactly. That's why she wants him to burn it. But I think Misery's Child, maybe she gets pregnant at the end of it, and then she has a miscarriage in this book. Like, we're talking about a book that doesn't even exist. But, you know, just for the purpose of the film.
All I know is Robin Williams is great in this movie.
I love Robin Williams. Go, Captain, my Captain.
He was amazing in this movie.
Where they all stand up on the desk. Oh, no, wait, that's a different one. So, the pig doesn't come in until the next scene, I believe. So she's ranting about the book. Oh, I can't wait to read the book. It's it's a wonderful book. It's a fantastic story. Literally says nothing about the book at all. Like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens to this character. It's like, oh, yay, the book. And she is delighted. And he's not so delighted at all.
Yeah, but when she does the whole thing that Kathy Bates does through this whole movie. She either has her little psychotic bits, but just before she leaves the room, every time she says something, just the tone of her voice, when she turns around and says to him, I love you, Paul. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
No, the best part was...
Just go and close the fucking door, please.
But those are the best parts, because that's why I think that this would be lovely on stage, because imagine just having that, like, every time she left the room, like, that side look, it's like,
yeah,
I might put some bullets in it. And just leaves. I'm like, oh my God! What's wrong with this woman?
Look,
my penis is retracting right into my body. I'm just like, ah!
Yeah, but that's all that happens in my house. Amy walks off and she says, look back and says, I have a butcher's knife downstairs.
Yeah, it's like,
I might put some bullets in it.
It's just like, well, she'll be at that for a few hours. It's fine.
There's a reason great in the attic.
And maybe she comes down with like a gun blade, like Squall in Final Fantasy VIII.
Look, man, I'm waiting for that night where I wake up and she's standing behind me, or above me even,
with a load of bullets glued to a knife. You're dead now, buddy. So he gets a nice bit of feed, but the food doesn't generally look that great. Maybe I'm just being a bit of a snob, to be honest with you, but you know, it looks okay.
No, it does look nice.
Yeah, it's all right. So we find out then that she has had a divorce, and now you start realizing, oh, she's a lonely woman. She's a lonely woman that lives by herself and her pet pig named Misery.
Fucking Misery. Jesus Christ! Do you know that pig is in the IMDb cast list as Misery the pig.
That's what the pig is named. Even in the credits of the film, it's like Misery the pig, and then it's like playing herself. Acting credit. And again, this is, hey, look what CGI did to the world. They now there's animals roaming around that are without acting jobs. They can just CGI all those pigs in now. Awful behavior. Apparently the pig had helped her. She did say that it was because of a divorce, didn't she? Like she had split up with her husband effectively.
The farm was all doom and gloom, and the pigs and there was like cows and sheep were never. But when she got Misery, everything changed.
Yay! Thanks, big hairy pig. But yeah, Misery helped her along through a tough time. Ate up all her scraps and everything. I think this is the part with the pee bottle as well. Like, this is what I'm talking about. They put these little anxiety-causing moments in it, and that never actually... It's not like it doesn't pay off, but it doesn't... Like, you think, oh, she's going to get that everywhere. But there's no... Like, is she doing that on purpose? Is she, like, showing him... Like, she has that control? Again, like, you're trying to get inside this character's head and wonder why are they so fucked up?
Yeah.
I think that was part of it. It was more to show kind of what she was like.
Mm-hmm.
Where, because he's looking at the bottle the whole time going, shit. Where
so
she's totally normal with it, which, you know, I imagine a real nurse would be anyway.
It was either you burned
lackadaisy with it.
That lackadaisy with it. But, I mean, wouldn't be so precious about the fact she was holding a bottle of pee, you know?
Oh yeah, like it wouldn't. It's not that like I expected her to be like ew, but she was just like.
If it was,
it looked like it would tip out.
Okay.
Ooh, with a glove. So she leaves with the pee bottle and also the pig, and then she goes, "Oi, go," and runs out like with her butt in the air. "Oi, go," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And again, You get Paul Sheldon's face. You're like, oh my god, what the fuck? He's cute. He's clearly like legs don't fail me now. Ow! But his face, you can see it's visibly like gotten a little bit better. He's clearly healing. He's been there for a little bit, and yeah, he's not loving it.